Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, we live in a state of creativity. Oklahoma is home to so many artists, performers, and even inventors to even try to name. But what about us everyday folk? So when was the last time you were truly inspired, truly excited about your life, your business, or your school? So what if, with a little creativity, you could boost your enthusiasm and your effectiveness? And even better, what if you could turn those ideas into innovations, changing our country and our world one idea at a time? From up above, it's a building like any other in downtown Oklahoma City. But inside these doors, at the Civic Center Music Hall, what you'll find is a state of creativity from those on stage
Nothing was working.
to those in the audience. Mostly young faces,
So I'm a nuclear physicist.
not waiting on anyone or anything to create.
I think a lot of people probably falsely construe that physics doesn't involve a lot of creativity, but it does.
Taylor Wilson began working in nuclear science at age 10. By 14, he was the youngest person in history to produce a nuclear fusion. And today, at the ripe old age of 19,
I solve problems. I take the physics and try to solve a problem with it. And I'm very optimistic about the future. I think that we have a lot of potential to change the world with what we're doing, and so it's exciting.
And finding such creative solutions, author David Goldstein says, can often be found within all of us if we just know where to look.
Absolutely. There's a misconception that a lot of people don't think themselves as creative. In fact, there was a recent study that showed only 1 in 4 people think they're living up to their creative potential. But in fact, we all can be.
Here's an example. Imagine you're in a room of preschoolers and you ask, who can sing you a song? And hands go up everywhere. Ask that same question among adults, and there's often not that many takers. So as we age, do we lose our creativity or just our confidence in it?
A lot of us are discouraged away from creativity at a very young age. And it's often because the teacher tells you how they're creative, and they show you how they're creative, but it might not be how we're creative.
So rather than encourage creativity, education can often stifle it.
The first step is to know ourselves. A second step, I believe, is to go back to what you loved to do as a child. All of us love to do things. Every student in my son's preschool was creative, and they were creative storytellers, actors. They built things with blocks. When kids get older, they don't see themselves as creative anymore. When adults are asked if they're creative, many don't think they are. It's amazing. I interviewed so many people for the book I wrote, and I interviewed an engineer who has 20 patents, and he goes, I'm not creative. It's that guy. There's just so many ways of being creative. It's in accounting, it's in sales, it's in marketing, it's in business planning. There are just so many different ways that people don't think of themselves as traditionally creative.
Even in some of the harshest of conditions. On stage with Oklahoma City's mayor, Justine Babizi told those at this year's Creativity Forum how by looking at things differently, her home country of Rwanda grew from unspeakable tragedy.
As you might know, Rwanda had a genocide in 1994 that took more than 1.5 million people in just 100 days. Recovering from that was a dream that nobody knew that we could achieve it. It was achieved by Rwandans, ordinary citizens like myself. I'm not a politician. I don't work for the government, but I'm a confident citizen who is allowed to innovate, create, and implement what I think works for my country.
In her book, This Is Your Time, Rwanda, Babizi tells how, rather than follow the rule of law, her country created a new path through justice through forgiveness.
So we came up with a creative ways of making sure that the perpetrator had to face a victim without a lawyer and a prosecutor involved. And that was the hardest core of serving justice in a purest sense, because lawyers are not the victims of the crime. Perpetrators are not victims of the crime. They are all trying to be the third party bearing the pain that is not theirs. People felt like it was a justice in innovation.
Innovation that Goldstein says is in all of us in some way or another if we just look hard enough.
What I think we need to do is expand the pie of people who see themselves as creative. We rely on other people to be creative. The lone inventor or the inventors in the R&D lab, but we're all creative and we all can be. And if more people in our country see themselves as creative, then we could have more output.
Expanding our creativity by building bridges to our own inspiration. Now when we return, we look at how creativity can change business, education, and even government.